Will the market go up or down? Should you lock in or float? Find out this and more with Master of the Markets, hosted by Barry Habib of MBS Highway. Brought to you by Paramount Residential Mortgage Group.
Welcome to another edition of Master of the Markets. I'm Barry Habib, and MBS Highway's created exclusively for NMP TV, and it's brought to you by our good friends at PRMG who are working for your best interest. Last week was an exciting week. Fed Speaker, Atlanta Fed President, Raphael Bostic, Mr. Bombastic we call him, or Mr. Lava Lava. He comes out and he says he's not worried. He's not worried about inflation. He's not worried that the Fed is printing too much, and doesn't even want to talk about starting to taper. So this kind of just shows you where the Fed is. Although in the Fed minutes last week, there is talk that the Fed said, maybe at some point in time we should start thinking about a taper. Now, bonds didn't like that because remember, the Fed's the biggest buyer of mortgage-backed securities. They say they're borrowing $40 billion a month, but you know that's a lie. They're buying more than double that. In fact, since we've been calling them out on this, they stopped showing it on their site on NewYorkFed.org. What else happened last week? Well, we did get some housing data, some important stuff, and really all just showing the appetite in housing not cooling off anytime soon. At existing home sales, that represents 85% of the housing market. And here's the thing, the number was down. It was down 2.7% for the month. But when you take a look at the reason why, it's because there's no inventory. We've lost 20% of the inventory compared to last year. And now if you take a look at the amount of sales, it's hard to compare to 2020 because this report's for April. So when you look at April 2020, we had a lot of lockdowns. But if you go back to a more normal time, like 2019, you know we're up 11% from 2019. And get this, homes are selling, and you ready? 17 days. That accounts for a lot of people that put their house on the market at some crazy prices, and we're still looking at that. Investors, though, they're buying and gobbling up 25% of the homes. I'm sorry, cash buyers, rather, 25% of the homes. And that's tough because that's mortgages that you can't do. So we've got to really be sharp on our game. Now, this week, we're going to get more housing data and something that will clear up the report from last Friday. Because remember, we got existing home sales showing that the median home price rose to a record of $341,000, and that's up 19% year over year. So what's the media going to say? Oh, it's unsustainable. Appreciation's up really high. That is not appreciation. That's the median home price. Remember from math class, median means that's the middle range. So that means half the sales above it, half the sales below it. And when you take a look below, you know there's not a lot of inventory. In fact, sales beneath 100,000, I mean, that's really tough to find a home. They're plummeting. But sales, get this, 500,000 to 750,000, these sales are really skyrocketing. When you get above $1 million, they're up 212%. 750 to $1 million, up 146% because that's where the inventory is. So that's skewing that median home price. Now this week, we're going to be getting numbers on actual appreciation from Case-Shiller. That's going to be an important number. And then Mr. Lover Lover will be back, Raphael Bostic. And it's going to be important to hear his comments because we're going to be getting the Fed's favorite measure of inflation, and that's PCE, the personal consumption expenditure. You're going to get a bump, just like we told you that CPI number would create a bump and that would cause some problems for the industry, at least temporarily. Expect a little turbulence and a little blip around that PCE, personal consumption report, because the inflation will be a little bit hotter. Meanwhile, watch the 10-year Treasury having a tough time getting below 160. If it continues to fail to get beneath that level, and we think it's going to be hard, 175 is a possibility, so I want you to be careful with that. If you're not on MBS Highway, I mean, why not? Clearly, you need to be having this stuff. You need to protect yourself, and you need to create levels of trust between you and your customer by you being that advisor and that expert. Stop being a salesperson, stop being transactional, and start building relationships and trust and being more effective by using MBS Highway. Hope you guys have a great week. Bye-bye.
Be sure to click on the link below for your free 30-day MBS Highway trial.